All right, let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Let's get it. Top Butler, we are here on this Tuesday, New York City, baby. It's like 92 degrees outside. We can't complain. We did that too much during the winter when it was snowing nonstop. So we can't complain. We get 92 degrees on May 19th. We were wondering when the hell was spring gonna pull up. We were getting 40s. So now we get 90s. We better shut the hell up. I'm in all black today, which I guess is not a good idea for the weather. But anyway, I'm hyped. My man CP, the Fanchise of Knicks Fan TV, he's going to join us in a moment. We've got game one of the Eastern Conference Finals at the Garden. And it's the first time in 9 days that we have seen the Knicks. And so there are questions about the rust versus rest. Last night we saw Oklahoma City, after they swept the Lakers, dealing with some rest, play a San Antonio team that had gone to 6 games against the Timberwolves, and it was the Spurs who won that game. And I don't think this was a rest versus rust factor. I just think the Spurs were awesome. And 4 to 5 times this year have proven to be the better team when those two are on the floor. And then we got one of, this is not being hyperbolic, y'all, one of the greatest games we've ever seen played in NBA history. Wemby went 41, 24, 3 blocks, was a plus 16 in 41 minutes, double overtime, had the go-ahead dunk, had the game-sealing block. Play of the game, though, was that Steph Curry-esque pull-up 3 that he hit to tie the game. And we are watching the crowning of the face of the league, regardless of what happens the rest of this series. I did pick the Spurs in 7, so I'm sitting there anxious. But what a hell of a way to start the conference finals. So now we get to the East. You've got the Knicks, you've got the Cavs. I'm calling this a must-win for Cleveland because I think this is going to be the most quote-unquote compromised you will see the New York Knicks because of the 9-day layoff, because you've got OG in his first game back since, 2 Wednesdays ago when he came up hobbling with that hamstring. And if you're the Cavs, you should have momentum. You were down 2-0 in that series to Detroit, won 3 straight, lost game 6, but then won game 7. So you won 4 or 5 to end that series. So you should be coming in here hot. Donovan Mitchell cooked. Harden, game 7 was 2 of 10, but games 3, 4, and 5 was excellent. Jared Allen, once again in the game 7, was awesome. Evan Mobley's playing well. Merrill and Strus, they're hitting shots. So the Cavs right now, who are 7.5 point dogs, should, to me, like the best chance they have of winning this series is stealing one of the first 2 in New York. I don't think you can get away with what you got away with against Detroit, and that's falling down 2-0. The best chance they have of winning this series where they are heavy dogs is to win one of these games in New York. I think their best chance to do that is in game 1, which is why I'm calling tonight a must-win for Cleveland. It's a must-win for the Cavs. We've been here. We've talked about Harden's playoff struggles. For the first time ever, Donovan Mitchell is in the conference finals. He was on that list, a list you really don't want to be on. Greatest players to ever not make a conference finals. We, speak ad nauseum about it with Joel Embiid. You've got Dominique Wilkins, I guess, would be probably the best player on that list. And now he's in his conference finals. Here's an opportunity for Donovan Mitchell to announce to the world, no, I was never overrated. My teams just weren't good enough. And now that the seas have parted, you got no Boston, no Indiana, and here's your opportunity to get it done. Speaking of get it done, It's what my man does on Knicks Fan TV. Gets the people talking, gets the fans hype. What better way than to ring in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals than to do it with my guy, CP the Fanchise, who's built a hell of a community, who has done so many awesome things, man. Shout out to you, CP. I'm proud of you, bro. Good to see people who look like me in this space having that success, man.
Yes.
I got you, bro. Let me know when you're ready. CP, uh, putting him backstage. You ready, CP? Just give me a thumbs up. All right, cool. So,
Check.
what I was saying was, man, I am first of all no better way to the ring in game one of the conference finals than with you, a guy who's built a tremendous community, and it's good to see people who look like you having success, prospering the way that you are. So I appreciate you pulling up, my man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. Always a pleasure.
All right, so I want to start here. I think tonight is a must win for Cleveland because in order for them to win this series, they've got to take one of the first two in New York. This is not Detroit, with all due respect to the Pistons who won 60 games. You're not falling down 2-0 to the Knicks and winning 4 or 5. So your best chance to steal this series is to take one of these first two games. And I think the one that probably is the quote unquote easiest would be tonight. Knicks coming off a 9-day rest. OG coming back for the first time since game 2 against Philly, and the Cavs should have some momentum. Your thoughts on my take?
You know what, man? I'm gonna go the other way. I think tonight is a must-win for the Knicks because you have this Cleveland team. You know, Jared Allen was just mic'd up at shoot around saying it was a difficult travel and to get ready for this game. And so for the Knicks, you got this Cleveland team probably with tired legs, coming in off of a 7-game battle. They played 14 games in the postseason so far compared to the Knicks 10. The Knicks are the team that has had 9 days off. They should be the fresher legs. They should not let this Cleveland Cavaliers team come in and out hustle them for the 50-50 balls. And we are 1 year away, maybe not to the date, but 1 year away from the Eastern Conference Finals. I was in the building, as were you, when the Knicks completed the biggest choke job in franchise history. If they lose tonight, it puts the doubt back in the eyes of the fans and the analysts. Is this last year all over again? Is this Knicks team really built for this after dominating the previous 10 games against Atlanta and Philadelphia? Tonight, the Knicks have to win this game. Maybe Cleveland does get the split on Thursday, but on today, game 1, the Knicks have to set the tone.
We're streaming live for the next 20 minutes or so. CP, my man, joins us of Knicks Fan TV. So we're streaming live on Twitter. Hit us up at Ty D Butler, CP the Fanchise, streaming live on YouTube. All right, so let me counter that real quick. Which team do you think is better suited to overcome a 1-0 deficit? Would it be the Knicks or the Cavs?
I still think it's the Knicks because I think they're the better two-way team.
Exactly. So that's my point. So that's why I think tonight's a must-win for the Cavs because, like you said, they might come in a little bit fatigued because they just played 7 games with Detroit. But if such a thing as momentum exists, they just won 4 or 5 against the number 1 seed. The Knicks are rested. They might be a little rusty, which we saw Oklahoma City in that first half last night to some degree. And so I think that if they are going to come in here and do what none of us think that they can, which is I got the Knicks in 5, and maybe that's a little bit disrespectful to Cleveland. But CP, man, we haven't seen the Knicks just win games, bro. They are dusting teams. Like 7 of their 8 wins by double digits. Like, even if you had the Knicks get into the conference finals, we didn't think it would look this way, this dominant.
I mean, they have been on a absolute historic tear. When you think about their offense and, coming in 130.5, I believe, in offensive net rating, they were coming into when they finished Philadelphia, they were number 1 in the NBA playoffs in net rating. But honestly, man, it's really on the defensive side of the ball where I've been most impressed with them and where I think is the key for them to legitimately hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. Yes, individually, you've had outstanding individual efforts, in particular from their wings, Karl Anthony Towns as well. But when you look at these games and you look at how they're rotating, how they're covering the weak side, how they're running shooters off the three-point line, their effort and their connectivity defensively is what's going to carry them. Because, look, shots can come and go from game to game, from quarter to quarter. It's a make-or-miss league. And especially in this 3-point heavy NBA, it's not always going to be their night. But defensively, I think is where their consistency has lied. But also on the offensive end, they've been attacking the rim, man, and they've been getting to the rim off of their cuts, off their individual shot creators. So this is a well-balanced attack.
So, all right, let's get a little nerdy for a moment because you and I, we both watch games. We love basketball. Here's what I'm curious about. So the Cavs have guards in Donovan and in Harden who can expose some of the Knicks' flaws on defense. Now, their defense has been excellent. Part of that, though, is Atlanta and the Sixers really didn't have what the Cavs present, and that's all right. Here's the matchup I want. Let's get them in pick and roll, spread the floor with shooters, and now we have Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, rim running, and then we can also throw it out to Strus or any of our other shooters. I'm curious to see how the Knicks defend that. What are your takeaways on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was still surprised, even though Philadelphia may not have had as much of the firepower on the outside as the Cavs. I was surprised that Philadelphia didn't try to do that as much in terms of exploiting and attacking Jalen Brunson, utilizing Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. I did not see that as much in that series, and that to me was advantage Knicks. But number one, I like the way that the Knicks defended Tyrese Maxey. They were aggressive with him. Number one, Mikal Bridges, his on-ball defense, his screen navigation, I thought was really good. I would expect him to draw that James Harden assignment first. And try to take him out. And I'm going to be curious, like you, to see, will the Knicks be as aggressive on Harden, who will have the ball in his hands much, much more often to take chances? Because now you got Donovan Mitchell on the weak side, or you've got Sam Merrill or Max Strus on the other side, high-powered three-point shooters. So they may have to stay at home a little bit more, even though James Harden isn't a scorer of what he used to be in his all-star prime. He can still give you 20-30 on a night, but not as consistently as he used to. His playmaking, he still has the playmaking savvy. And as you said, you have the vertical threat, you have the lob threat of Allen and Mobley. And so it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive the Knicks are, but nevertheless, their gap coverage is going to have to be on point. They're going to have to be steady there, still try to force those turnovers, but be able to, if they're going to dig that deep in, be able to run out and get those three-point shooters off the line or contest those shots.
The Sixers stuff was perplexing to me because it felt like there was some type of identity crisis where they didn't realize this is Maxey's team. They're still living 2-3 years ago and be the MVP, and they're trying to run the offense through him. And I just felt like that played into the Knicks' hands because we saw in game 2 where Embiid didn't play. Sixers have running up and down, and it gave the Knicks some trouble. They were obviously able to win that game. But, yeah, you're right, man. Harden, it's year 17, and he's not the scorer he was back in 2017, 2018, where he's winning scoring titles. Had 30 in game 5 for Cleveland. Yeah. And his distributing is still on point. So the OG thing, man, what are you hearing? Because I was very skeptical about the whole day-to-day thing. I did not think he was playing in either games 3 or 4. He's obviously going to play tonight. What are you hearing about his status and how close he is to 100%?
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to play tonight. How close he is to 100%, not so sure. The thing that I had heard, especially when he had first tweaked it was more minor in nature, nothing like what he had suffered against Indiana 2 years ago, which was really almost a complete tear, damn near. I mean, he couldn't go in that game 7. He gave it a shot, but it was clear he was a shell of himself. But he's going to be an interesting X factor in this series in that before this injury, he wasn't just a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He was scoring all over the court. He was slashing. He was attacking the basket. Those baseline cuts that they were able to execute off him in that pinch flex action between him, Jalen Brunson, and Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks found a lot of success there against the Hawks and to varying degrees against the Philadelphia 76ers. So he's going to be the one to watch tonight in terms of how well he's moving. Obviously, on the defensive end, I want to see how he's able to defend Evan Mobley. He may have to guard Donovan Mitchell. He may have to take James Harden out of the game as well. So, prior to getting injured, man, I thought he was playing at an all-star level at the highest level of the NBA. And so that was very remarkable. They're going to need him to be successful here in this series and hopefully beyond.
Yeah, man. It's like the Hawks had never seen that pinch flex that the Knicks were running. Every single time they were getting open
Automatic.
shots, and it just
Automatic.
became like a cheat code, right?
Yeah.
Josh Hart, we always talk about him being an X factor. Bro, I say this very often, and he had a career high season from three. He's kind of come and go when it comes to his 3-point shot in the playoffs. The thing about Hart though, when he hits threes, it feels like they're like 4-pointers because they are so backbreaking for a defense, man. Like it's always like a clutch time shot. And because the Knicks offense is so elite, you got to give up something. Like you can't cover it's like, you're playing an NFL offense. You can't guard receivers and stop the running game. You got to give up something. And that something is Josh Hart. So when he's hitting threes, it's like it's almost impossible to beat this team.
It's going to be interesting to see how he shoots with this additional hand injury. We don't know the extent of it. I don't recall if it's a shooting hand or not, but
I think it's his left hand.
It's his left hand. So, we're going to have to see how that impacts him. But he's a guy that, first of all, his defense throughout the entire postseason, I think, has been excellent. Yep. And so is he going to guard that, draw that Donovan Mitchell assignment first? It's going to be key because we all know that Donovan Mitchell, he can have those runs. He can have those games where he's just lights out and just killing it from all three levels. So Josh Hart's going to be very important there. And then offensively, you can almost guarantee that he's going to draw Jared Allen. And so he's going to, Jared Allen's he's going to be cheating off of Hart. He wants to take away some of those passing lanes, some of the cuts that the Knicks were able to execute against the Hawks and the Sixers. And so the Cavs are going to funnel those shots to Josh Hart, especially early in the game, and say, hey, you beat us from three. Let's see what you can do. But I like the way that Josh has been attacking those actions in terms of just you have to continue to be active. Either executing dribble handoffs, maybe it's executing dribble handoffs for Mikal Bridges to step into his mid-range game. Mikal Bridges has been playing very well. Or it's setting more screens, continuing to move. And then if you need to, hit that 3-point shot. But the one thing for Hart where I think I see his advantage, and when you look at the last game of the regular season or the last matchup of the regular season between these two guys, where he tried to have the advantage over Allen was playing faster, playing with pace. So as soon as they grab that rebound, full court, full speed ahead up the court to beat Jared Allen and then catch the Cavs off guard. I think tonight is a night where I want to see Hart do that. If you're going to try to test Cleveland and if they have tired legs, test a guy like a Harden. Like I want to see Hart attacking straight off the rebound and straight to the basket and really put some pressure on Cleveland from that standpoint.
All right, a couple of quick ones before we get out of here. Who do you put OG on? Do you start OG on Evan Mobley?
Yeah, I would put OG on Evan Mobley. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So what's your series prediction? Because I told you I got Knicks in 5. I watching Cleveland, the struggle to beat the Raptors and then struggle in that Pistons series where they were up 3-2 going home and laid an egg. I just found myself thinking like none of these teams are beating the Knicks, and because you juxtapose that with how dominant the Knicks have been, and in the Garden we know it's going to be rocking the next couple of nights. So I just think the Knicks are the better team, significantly better. So I've got them in 5. Where are you going?
I'm going to go Knicks in 6. Just out of respect for the Cavs and their offensive potential, even with a top-heavy lineup. Kenny Atkinson did shorten those rotations a little bit, but they have the ability to run it up on an off night. If the Knicks are not firing, and Strus is hitting his threes, Merrill's hitting his threes, and Mobley might be hitting his threes, and you get 25 from Mitchell here, 20-something from Harden. They could be tough at times, but I'm with you. I think this is the Knicks' biggest opportunity here to make the NBA Finals since that 94 season, since the 95 season, really. And I think they're going to get it done, man. I think they get it done in 6 games.
Last one. Who are you rooting for to come out the West?
Man, that game 1 was an absolute dogfight, slugfest, 48-minute bar brawl. I thought that was the best game I watched the entire postseason in terms of the competitiveness. Yeah. And hey, if the Knicks are watching that, you're going to have to 10X the intensity. All right, this ain't Philly, this ain't Atlanta. Those two teams last night showed the league, hey, if you want a shot at this is you got to reach up here. Because, I mean, and then you just saw, for Wemby to close it in that type of fashion and have his playoff moment, his signature moment in the playoffs. You know, it's like LeBron against Detroit in I forget
2007.
2007. You know, those
Yeah.
memorable playoff moments that each superstar has. Game one of that Western Conference Finals, double OT. Because I felt like when it was going into overtime, it was more advantage Thunder.
Yeah.
To endure and then dominate. That was incredible, man. So you know what? I think I would go with the Spurs still, because I still think the Knicks match up better with them, and should they make it to the finals. But hey, not going to be easy with the alien, man. He's really elevating at the right time.
All right, so put us on, man. After the Knicks win tonight, what you got cooking for Knicks Fan TV?
Oh man, everything. Well, first off, we have to watch parties. We will be at Avenida Rooftop. It's gonna be 100 degrees in the city right now. So by the evening time, it'll be a nice chill, nice cool. And so we'll have Avenida Rooftop outdoors, One Penn Plaza. That's the corner of 34th Street and 8th Avenue. After the game, we will be live on YouTube, breaking it all down, highlights, analysis, caller reactions on Knicks Fan TV. And then the day after, which will be Wednesday, we'll be breaking down film on Knicks Fan TV and doing a full game one debrief. So we work around the clock, man.
So are you sipping during the game to calm some nerves, or are you just chilling?
Yeah. You know, I'm a Scotch guy, man. I'm a man of a certain age, man, as you can tell by the gray hairs and the beard. So, you know, I get my Scotch on and sip responsibly, but, you know, to a level where I can still articulate my takes after the game. It's a long day. It's a long night. But yeah, I do like to, you know, get my sip on to take the edge off a little bit, for sure.
CP the Fanchise, the legend himself in the flesh. Hey, I'm going to holler at you, bro. Knicks Fan TV. I'll hit you up, man, because once we get to the finals, we definitely got to do this again.
Please.
Have fun at the watch party. I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
Absolutely, man. Ty, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. CP the Fanchise does a tremendous job. Knicks Fan TV, check them out. Man, they are out there cooking. I love the community that they've built. Knicks fans are just obviously euphoria right now. Cloud 9 for a generation of fans. And I like to hit on this pretty consistently to provide like the perspective. There's a generation of fans who don't remember the 90s. You start talking about Ewing and, you know, you start talking about Oakley, like they just don't Starks, like they don't have crisp memories of that because they either weren't born yet or they're too young. And then you get to a point where you're tired of commemorating what really felt in real time like a disappointment. Like you were knocking on the door, couldn't get past Jordan, couldn't get past Dream. And so in real time, it felt like, damn, man, we were that close. Now, since that period, since that era of Knicks basketball, it's now become glorified because it was the last time that they were relevant. It was the last time that they were, you know, a championship contender. But it just didn't feel like that in the moment. So you're tired of glorifying coming up short. And now you're 8 wins away from the finals. You do have a legitimate chance to, you know, obviously win this series, but then going past that, it is an enhanced level of competition once you get to either San Antonio or Oklahoma City. But once you're there, you can win. We saw it with Indiana last year. I think the Pacers win game 7 if Halliburton doesn't tear his Achilles. And I know it was the first quarter and a lot can happen, but that just deflated Indiana. That building, it took a while for them to like normalize themselves. And they were the home team. And it's not like you're a Pacers fan, you're crying over the spilled milk of Halliburton getting hurt. It's not that, you know, you want to see that happen, but of course it is beneficial to your team. Once you get to the finals, you can win the damn series. And that's why I'm so excited, man. I'm so pumped because we were here last year. It just felt different. It felt different in a lot of ways. The Pacers, that Pacers team was better than this Cavs team. Now, let's not do the revisionist history because there were a lot of Knicks fans going into that series who were as confident today or as confident at that time as they are today because they felt like in, what was that, 24, the reason why they lost to Indy in the second round was because of injuries. You had Anunoby's hamstring. You had Mitch was out. You also had in Game 7, Jalen Brunson break his hand right before halftime. And I remember when that news came out, I'm sitting on the bridge in the garden, and everybody, it's just not funny. I don't want to say funny, but it is very interesting to see everyone in real time getting that notification on their phone and how the energy just like left the building. So coming into last year, it was like, nah, we've got this. This is ours. And then as CP just talked about, Neesmith happens in the final 90 seconds of that game. And I'm still so mad. I'm still so mad because I left right before that. I had to be on the radio, which I will be on the radio tonight, ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app. So come holla at your boy. I'm mad because I missed one of the most legendary performances in playoff, at least in recent playoff history, with what Neesmith did. Now, I know not a lot of Knicks fans, you guys are tuned into this, don't want to hear that. But I left right before that happened because I had to go get on the radio, and I'm like, this game is over. So you blow the 9-point lead. And Brunson and Hart spoke about this yesterday in the press conference, about having that experience, knowing not to take your foot off the gas pedal. Because just like that, it can evaporate, especially in this era of basketball where that 3-point shot is the ultimate equalizer. Everyone can hit threes. And it's why you see upsets happen. It's why you see teams get clipped. And for the Knicks to experience the heartbreak of last season, I think puts them in a better position. This sounds weird, but psychologically, because they understand what it takes. They're not champions, so this isn't like we're battle tested and know how to deal with the adversity when it comes to winning a championship, but they're battle tested in the sense of they understand full 48 minutes. Don't let up. Don't let up at all. We hear all the noise about us being favorites. Listen, interesting to point out, you go back the last half decade of Knicks playoff exits, they have come in series against teams they were favored against, right? Indiana back-to-back years, Miami, Atlanta. So the Knicks, typically when they get picked off, it's against a team that at least Vegas says they were expected to beat, which is where we end up today. And why, to go back to my original point about why tonight is a must-win for Cleveland, I've got the Knicks winning this series in 5 games. I think they're the better team. I think that they are the more experienced team. Their defense is better. Their offense is better. They have been the better playoff team. They've been dominant, where the Cavs have been pretty up and down. The Knicks don't have an important player on their roster who, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I don't know if he's built for the playoffs. Whereas the Cavs do have that in James Harden. All of that adds up to me picking the Knicks to win this series in 5 games and for the first time since 99 to advance to the NBA Finals. So with that said, it's a must-win for Cleveland tonight because I think your only chance of winning this series is if you get one of the first 2 and you steal home court. This is not round 1 against Detroit, where you're going to go down 2-0 and then win 4 or 5. That's not happening. You have to win one of these first 2 games. And I think your best chance of these first 2 to steal would be tonight, where the Knicks are coming off a 9-day layoff, where we've got OG returning from this hamstring injury. Still don't know how close to 100% he is. And for the Cavs, you've won 4 of your last 5 games. Donovan Mitchell cooked in Game 7. Harden in games 3, 4, or in games 3, 4, 5, and 6 played pretty damn good. Evan Mobley, Allen, Strus, Merrill. You've got a lot of guys playing well, and you are going into MSG against a Knicks team that has been off with a chance to steal home court. This is your best chance to make this series interesting. So I'm hyped for tonight. Headed to the Garden. That energy, we know it's gonna be crazy. We know it's gonna be crazy. We know that MSG crowd delivering, man. Oh man, I'm excited. At Ty D Butler, that's where you can find me on Twitter. Hit me up at Ty D Butler. Give me a follow. We're on YouTube as well, streaming live. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ty D Butler. Instagram, TikTok. We are delivering on all platforms. And tonight we are locked in on the New York Knicks at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll be on the radio after the game taking your phone calls. I want to hear from the Knicks fans. I want to hear from y'all. Because, I keep, man, listen, there are a lot of these Knicks fans who are too young to remember the quote unquote glory days of the 90s. Those 90s teams that actually came up short, that all of a sudden, because of how pathetic the organization has been since then, we now look upon as like the glory days. So here's your shot to experience something better, and that is watching a basketball team, dare I say, win the championship. I think they're going to get to the finals, and once you're in the finals, you can win. You can win. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a grand old time. Hit me up in the comments if you want to chime in. Spike says, "Are you going to the game?" Yeah, I'm gonna be there, man. Gotta be there. I gotta. I gotta be in the building, in the flesh. It's funny, yo. A lot of y'all Knicks fans have bashed me, came at me calling me a Knick hater, when all year long I was rocking with y'all saying y'all are going to the finals. That was despite the hype train that came when Jason Tatum pulled up back from injury earlier than we expected, despite the fact that Detroit won 60 games and Kate Cunningham was a top 5 MVP candidate. That was despite the 2-1 deficit against Atlanta in round one. I was rocking with y'all all year long. I said y'all were gonna get to the finals, and now you're 4 wins away. And I think you're gonna win this series in 5. You've been the more dominant team, you have been the more experienced team, you are in its totality the better team, and you don't have a significant player on this roster who I question if he is built for the postseason. Whereas Cleveland unequivocally does. In Harden, who did play well games 3, 4, 5, and 6 of last series, was 2 for 10 in game 7, I should add. But that's an advantage that you have. And I just value home court advantage as well. So I think the Knicks get it done. I think they win this series in 5 games. And I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. I'm hyped because we're going to get, for the first time in 27 years, check that out, the Knicks going to the NBA Finals. If you're in the comments, hit me up. Do you leave after the third quarter? So typically, I have to leave at the end of the third quarter just so I can get back to host a radio show after the post game is over. So I am going to flirt with some danger tonight. I want to stay as long as possible. The problem is getting out of MSG with that herd is really, really tough. So I want to hang for as long as I can into the fourth quarter. And I figure if I get to my car by the time the buzzer sounds in the fourth quarter, then I'm probably in a good spot. And you just knock on wood that there's like no crazy traffic situation. I'm where I park, I'm away from all of the 7th Ave, all of the 33rd or 32nd Street, 33rd and 32nd Street shenanigans. So I'm away from all of that. And so I should be good. But yeah, I am gonna try my hardest to stay as long as possible so I don't show up late to the radio show, which would be, a dereliction of duty. Um, but good question, Spike. I'm gonna try to hang as long as I can because I talked about how I missed the Neesmith. I missed the Neesmith performance last year. Can't you go to the studio downtown? Interestingly enough, it takes me just as long to get to the studio downtown as it does to get home. And so obviously, I would prefer, like, if that's the case, I would prefer to be home. Yeah, I would prefer to be home. Like, if it's the same amount of time, it's like, man, just get home so that right after you can hit the sack. Yeah, I missed the Neesmith performance last year. I also missed this year. I missed CJ's theatrics at the end of game two. I get bit by, you know, having to be home for the radio show. Oh, let's see. That's why I root for the game to be decided through three quarters. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on too much. But I'll try to hang as long as possible. Nick predictions. What y'all got for me? I know there are a lot of Knicks fans tuned into this stream, so I would imagine you are going Knicks to win this series. But are we talking sweep? Are we talking 5 games? We talking 6 games? What are we talking about? What are we talking about tonight? I think we see Knicks in 5. With all due respect to Cleveland, what's your answer for Jalen Brunson? You don't have any. What's your answer for OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart all cooking at the same time? You don't have one. And if it would also be different to keep it a stack with y'all. Regardless, I was going to pick the Knicks to win the conference finals, whoever they played. It's my pick all year, staying consistent. It would have been different for me had Cleveland dusted the Raptors in 5 and then follow that up by beating Detroit in 6, to where you get to the conference finals and you now feel like the Cavs are playing quote unquote their best basketball, and it's been consistent. It's been consistent. Right? Like, we do this a lot in the NFL. Team getting hot at the right time. Like, they're now dangerous to go on a run. If the Cavs through the first couple rounds had been playing like that, it's a different story. Dust Toronto, leave no doubt. Upset Detroit, and it's like, all right, Cleveland, maybe you can make this a series. But because they struggled through the first couple rounds, I just don't see it happening. I think the last time a team went to game 7 in the first 2 rounds and then got to the finals, I think the last team to do that was the 08 Celtics. And y'all could fact check me on that, but I'm like 98% sure that that's the last team to do that. The Cavs are not the two. There are a lot of things. They are not the 2008 Boston Celtics. Now, if we do want to just provide like a retort, like, make the case for, I understand your pick, Ty. I understand that you're picking the Knicks to win in 5. Ty, I understand that. Make the case for the Cavs being a live dog in this series. All right, here's what I'll say. Do you think Donovan Mitchell can win them 1 game? Sure. All right, that's 1 game. Do you think Harden, like a total James Harden, points, assists, rebound, that type of vintage Harden performance, can that win them another game? Sure. All right, that's 2. In this era of basketball, with a 3-point shot, like, teams have never been more reliant on the 3-point shot. Do you see the Cavs having the type of performance where they hit 17 or 18 of them things and that wins them a game? Sure. All right, so now we're at 3, and once you're in a game 7, anyone can win a game 7. And in fact, the last 2 game 7s, we've seen the road team win. Sixers in Boston beat the Celtics, and then these Cavs against the Pistons in Detroit. So I guess that's the case for the Cleveland Cavaliers, making this thing interesting. I just don't see it, man. I just can't unsee the Knicks 8 wins, 7 of them by double digits. The 2 losses, both by a point. I can't unsee that. Brunson, playoff riser. Cat, been cooking. Bridges, OG back. Both of them been balling out. Josh Hart is like the maybe single biggest X factor in the playoffs. So that's why I'm going with the Knicks in 5. Yo, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, follow me on Twitter at Ty D Butler, on Instagram at Ty D Butler. And once again, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at Ty D Butler. Now, I just got caught off guard because I saw Tommy Beer put out Fabulous is going to be performing at the halftime of Game 1 tonight. Here's what I have to say about that, because I was there for Jadakiss perform. What was it, Game 2 of the Hawks? One of the games. It was either Game 2 of the Hawks or the Sixers series, and I'm a huge Kiss fan, but it's just like, you can't be less interested in a halftime performance than you are during halftime of a playoff game. Everyone's like using that as a break, going to get food, going to the restroom. Literally, no one's paying attention. It's a halftime performance. It's not the Super Bowl, where it's like this big deal. It's a playoff game. You're on there for like 5 minutes. It's completely different. It's not shown on television. So, like, as much as I want to get excited about these hip hop artists, and I love hip hop performing, it's just hard to when no one in the arena cares. Anyway, Ty D Butler, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I appreciate y'all for checking me out. Holla at your boy. Enjoy the game tonight. Once again, Knicks in 5. Knicks in 5. I'll holla at y'all after the game. I am going to be on ESPN New York. So download the ESPN New York app if you want to hear from your boy. Break it all down. Follow the post-game show. We'll hear from Mike Brown. We'll hear from Kenny Atkinson. We'll hear from the players in the locker room. It should be a fun one. So shout out to you guys once again. Check me out later after the game. Going to 1 a.m. ESPN New York and the ESPN New York. But for now, we say so long. Deuces, y'all.